What is up, everybody? We are back here at King Film Sports for another conference tournament prediction in college basketball, and this one in widely regarded as the best conference in college basketball. It is the Big Ten 14-team tournament starting on Wednesday and ending on Sunday. We've got 4 projected top 2 seeds in the tournament and a few others that could be listed as sleeper teams that could definitely go on runs in this tournament. Going to be a very entertaining one here. And I'm here with my co-host, AJ, and he will be sharing his bracket first.
So to start with the top half in the Big Ten, we've got Michigan State against Maryland in the 8-9 matchup. Maryland has been cold as of late, losing their last 2 to Northwestern and Penn State, and those are both double-digit seeds in this tournament. Whereas Michigan State, it's hard for a team to be a lot hotter. They have wins over Michigan, Ohio State, and more in the last couple weeks, and they're just hitting their stride right now. I do not see them losing to a Maryland team that's quite frankly pretty cold right now, and I see them moving on to force the third game, the tiebreaker against Michigan. Michigan's a team that's got Wagner, they've got Livers, and they've got Dickinson, but they're just the better team here. I don't see them losing to Michigan State again. Michigan State had to have everything go their way to win at home, senior night, whatever. So I'm going to have Michigan forcing their way to the semifinal. Moving on to the bottom of the bracket, we've got number 13 Minnesota against number 12 Northwestern. And Minnesota right now just can't seem to get out of the hole that they are in. This is similar to what Northwestern was in earlier. Minnesota's got Marcus Carr, they've got Liam Robbins, and they've got Gotch as well. But right now they're just not playing good basketball. They've lost a handful of games straight, whereas Northwestern has won their last 3, including a win over Minnesota decisively by 8 points on the road. They also have a win over Maryland and Nebraska, a Nebraska team that's been pretty hot recently. So Northwestern is the hotter team here, and I'm going to have them taking this game and playing Ohio State. Ohio State has lost 5 straight, I believe, as well. They've got Liddell and Washington, but I see them beating Northwestern just due to the fact that they're the better team here. They've played a grueling schedule over the last 5. The only bad loss you could say was that one to Michigan State. So I'm going to have them beating Northwestern. They proved to me that they were still the team that I thought they were at this 5 seed and very deserving of this 5 seed when they took Illinois to the bitter end. Then we've got number 5 Ohio State against number 4 Purdue, which I see to be a great matchup. Ohio State proved that they're worthy of that 5 seed when they played Illinois close this past weekend. Despite them losing a lot of games straight, they were all tough matchups, whereas Purdue has won a bunch of games straight, but not against the best opponents. The best opponent in there was Wisconsin, who's fallen off recently, and they also did play Michigan State before they got hot, so I don't really count that either. Give me this Ohio State team to force their way into the semifinal and play number 1 Michigan. I see Michigan winning this matchup because they won the last one by 4. Say what you want, Michigan fans. The refs made that game a whole lot closer, so I'm going to have Michigan. Despite their recent struggles losing to Illinois and Michigan State, I'm going to have Michigan into the final. Ryan, how about you?
Well, similar to AJ here, in the Michigan State-Maryland matchup, I see Michigan State as a very hot team right now, and they have underrated talent. Aaron Henry, Rocket Watts, the list goes on. I mean, they were a great team in the last couple years. Little bit of a lack of leadership without Cassius Winston, but they've got their act together as of late, notably beating Ohio State, Illinois, and Michigan today. So I see them as a hot team, and they could actually present trouble for Michigan in that quarterfinal matchup. That's a great matchup there. And give me Michigan to pull that one out because they are the far superior team and have been playing like that all year. I think Juwan Howard will have his team ready after the shocker that was today in the Michigan State upset. I mean, really it took everything from Michigan State, them hitting shots, them being up the entire game to beat Michigan. And you saw what happened when a revenge-minded Michigan team went out to crush the souls of Michigan State earlier this week when they won by, I think, 19 points. So I think that's going to happen there in the quarterfinal round. Then, in the first round, Minnesota against Northwestern. I really wanted to pick Minnesota here. I want to see a bit of a resurgence from them, but it's clear that their best basketball is really behind them. I mean, they are in such a lull, probably the worst team in the conference right now. And then a Northwestern team, but I'm not very high on, but I think they'll get by here. I just think they're the more consistent team at this point in the season. Then pushing us to Ohio State, Northwestern in the next round. And I don't know. I mean, I'm a bit scared here for Ohio State. As AJ mentioned, 5 straight losses coming into the conference tournament. That's never a good thing, and they could have been a 1 seed after that Michigan game, the great game that AJ mentioned earlier, which Ohio State lost 92-87. People thought they were the last 1 seed. Obviously, have gotten passed up and may not even be a 2 seed anymore. Give me Ohio State here against a bad Northwestern team. I think Ohio State needs this one to get back on track. Then pushing us to the quarterfinal matchup, a great matchup. Number 4, Purdue, who have been stringing together a few wins. Have been playing great team basketball, great defensive team, against an Ohio State team who is much more explosive, but much more volatile. Give me Ohio State here to eke this one out. I think they are the much more battle-tested team over the course of the season, and they've had their ups and downs, pretty down as of late, as we've mentioned, but I think they'll get past Purdue here. They just have much more talent, and I think they'll get things going here for a very entertaining semifinal. 2 big rivals, Michigan and Ohio State, and I've got it going the same way as it was the first time around. Very close game, but give me Michigan to pull this one out. I think they are very experienced and are great in these late game situations, in close games, whereas Ohio State, I just don't think they have enough to beat the Wolverines there in the semifinal matchup. AJ, what do you have in the bottom?
Going to the bottom, we've got the 7-10 matchup of Rutgers against Indiana, and I'm going to have Rutgers winning this game for the sole fact that I think they're the slightly hotter team here. They did just beat Indiana a few games back. They've won 2 out of their last 3. The loss was a bad one to Nebraska by 20, but Indiana has lost their last 5, including 2 to Michigan State. So Indiana has their best basketball behind them. So give me Rutgers there. But then I see the road ending there for Rutgers. There's no team that's hotter than Illinois right now. They just slammed Michigan and then beat Ohio State on the road as well. So give me Illinois there. And they're still not at full strength, which is kind of scary. They've got Coburn. They've got DeSumo. Everyone's heard about them. And this team is legit right now. Number 2 seed should move on to the semifinals there. Moving on to the number 14 Nebraska against number 11 Penn State game. We've got 2 teams that are in hotter parts of their seasons for how bad they were most of the time. Penn State has won their last 3 out of 4, and that is why I'm going to have them winning this game. They did just beat Nebraska 4 games ago, 86-83 on the road that was, but then they went on to lose to Purdue, but then they beat Minnesota and Maryland. So Penn State is playing some of their best basketball. Those are the kind of opponents that they're going to be playing. So I have them beating Nebraska, and then you might see that I have them going on a bit of a run here. And that is because I don't see Wisconsin as being a hot team right now. In fact, they are very cold. They have lost 5 of their last 6 games, the one win being over a lowly Northwestern team. Granted, all the other losses were against ranked teams, and they did play Iowa close here today, as well as Purdue, as well as Illinois, you could argue, but come on. Wisconsin, I just think they're a bit overrated. They don't have the wins against the best teams in the conference. They have cleaned up against the worst teams, but they did split with Penn State earlier in the season at home. There's no real excuse for that. I see Penn State being the more motivated team. Wisconsin has their place in the field. Penn State does not. I have Penn State facing Iowa in this next game, and I have Penn State winning again. Iowa's got McCaffrey. They've got Garza. They're probably the better team here, and they're decently hot. Their only loss in their last 7 games was to Michigan, and they just beat Wisconsin by 4 points. So had it been with Wisconsin, I would have had Iowa winning. But I think that Penn State, even though they just lost to Iowa early on, it was only by 6 points on the road for Penn State, so it was at Iowa. And I think Penn State, again, they'll be the battle-tested team at this point. 2 games. Hopefully they're not too tired. They're young boys, so I think they will be able to get it done against 3-seed Iowa that I see as slightly overrated here and play number 2 Illinois. I see that journey ending here for Penn State. I think that Illinois is just too good to even contemplate picking against them so far. Ryan, what do you have on your bottom of the bracket?
On the bottom of my bracket, first game here, we got 14 seed Nebraska against 11 Penn State. And like AJ said, two pretty hot teams, proportionally to their seed, I guess you could say. But give me 11 seed Penn State. I think they are just a much superior team, much more talented. I don't have them quite going on the run that AJ does. As you can see, next round against 6-seeded Wisconsin. I know Wisconsin has been pretty down as of late, but they've played some great teams, and they've hung in there with some great competition. They gave Illinois fits at the end of the game. The Iowa game was very close as well. So I don't think that you can say Wisconsin is a bad team. Certainly are a much better team than Penn State, in my opinion. So that brings us to the game we just saw today. 6-seed Wisconsin against 3-seed Iowa, and I just love Iowa's shooting from the perimeter, and I think Luka Garza, this is his senior season, he's going to have a great campaign in this tournament to get this done. So give me Iowa here. I think they'll go on a little bit of a run. They were great in the early part of the season, then they really just fell off in the middle part. They've kind of really revitalized it late here in the season. Obviously, a terrible performance against Michigan, but give me them to beat an inferior Wisconsin team in the quarterfinals. Then we go to Indiana against Rutgers, and I have a little bit of an upset here. I know Indiana is not playing their greatest basketball of the season. They were a bubble team, but they've lost a few straight now, under 500 overall. That's not going to make it into the tournament. They need a little bit of a sense of urgency here, and I think they're going to get it. I think they're going to beat Rutgers. I don't think Rutgers is anything special. So give me Indiana here. This one's going to be a bit of a shocker because Indiana hasn't been playing great as of late. But give me Indiana to pull off the upset there. And that's where the road ends. I really wanted to go have Indiana go on a little bit of a run here, but they are just going against a stalwart in Illinois, number 2 seed. Can't really pick against them at this point, against a non-top tier team. They have everyone, Ayo Dosunmu, Kofi Coburn, a few guards. Frazier didn't have his best game yesterday against Ohio State, but I think he'll bring it in the Big Ten tournament. And then we have a great matchup, number 2 Illinois versus number 3 Iowa in the semifinal, where I am going to have the shocker, number 3 Iowa beating number 2 Illinois. And Illinois has been the hottest team in the country as of late, but I just think Iowa will get them back. I think Iowa will have what it takes in this conference tournament. If you look at Illinois' wins, other than the one against Michigan, they have really been close against these top tier teams, and I think Iowa has what it takes. They're an experienced team in these positions, so give me number 3 seed Iowa to advance to the final. AJ, what do you have between Michigan and Illinois in your final?
In my final, of course, number 1 versus number 2. I'm going to have to take Illinois again just for the fact that they just dominated Michigan that first time. Michigan went on to lose a game since then, whereas Illinois got a win against Ohio State, and there's not many wins better than that in a 14-team conference. So I'm going to have Illinois just because I think they're the hottest team in the nation right now, and we'll see if something else happens to prove me wrong, but I've got Illinois winning this tournament. Ryan, how about you?
Well, in mine, I obviously don't have the same matchup. I have number 1 Michigan against number 3 Iowa, and likewise, I'm going to go with the result that we already had. This was a little bit after Michigan's lengthy COVID pause, where they just blew the doors off of Iowa. Iowa is playing a lot better, as I already mentioned, but I just think Michigan, this is destined for them to win. They've had such a good season, and it's been a little bit tarnished as of late with the blowout loss to Illinois and then the loss to Michigan State. But I think they'll get it back on track. They're going to be a number 1 seed in this NCAA tournament, and I think they're going to reestablish themselves in front of everyone. And I think they're going to win in blowout fashion against an Iowa team who will be great to even make it to the final at this point. So those are our Big Ten conference tournament predictions. Comment your guys' down below. We want to know any rash opinions you guys have, anything you think we got wrong. Comment who you want to win the Big Ten tournament. We would like to know in the comment section below. and we will see you in the next one.